I'm just going to quickly show you how to get the tube out of the tire and away from the rim so you can patch it, and then how to install it properly so you don't put a hole in the tube by accident when taking it in or out with the tools here. So there's air in this tire, so the first thing we got to do is take off the little cap here on the valve stem of the tube. Take that off, don't lose it. Maybe get yourself a little container to put it in. Alright, there we go, right here. And then we're going to take out of the valve stem what's called the valve core. So you're going to use this tool, which is hanging up on the main tool board on the left hand door, and you're going to put this in here and turn counterclockwise to turn out the valve core, and air will come out when you do this. Now don't lose, this is what the valve core looks like. Okay, so don't lose that. Put it in your little bucket. Alright, now we got the air out, so you should be able to just push that down like that. Now with some of these tires, it's honestly so easy, you can actually just do it by hand like this and peel it off. Other ones are not that way. So what I'm going to show you here is, if you have one that you can't actually get off by hand, use these two poles here with the little ends on them, and you put it behind the bead of the tire without catching the tube itself, because you don't want to cut the tube, and you go like that and pull it out. Now you leave that one there and you take the other tool with the hook and you get behind the rim a little further down, don't pinch the tube, and you pull it around. And you just keep going like that until it comes off. You do not have to take the tire completely off. You're only going to make the side of the tire come above the rim where the valve stem is. So make sure the valve stem is pointing up when you do this. So you're going to take out your tube. You're going to patch it. You've done all that. You've shown it to me now after your patch. Now it's time to put it back in. So when you put it back in, we're going to use this other little tool here that's on the main tool board, and it looks like this. All right? This end goes over the valve stem, and this is a little, you just pull here. So what we're going to do is first make sure when you put this in too, the valve stem sometimes is not dead center. Like this one is actually dead center, where here's the edge, and that's right in the center. Some tubes, this actually is up further, lower, or is bent at a certain angle. So you got to make sure it's going in at the proper angle, so it's not putting stress on the valve stem trying to come through the hole of the rim. Okay? So this one's straight in the center, so it can just sit like this, and we're going to feed it in. Alright, now before we try to line it up through this hole, what you do is you take this tool, put it through the hole of the rim, like that. Alright, okay, bring it around, bring it up through, turn it onto the valve stem. Okay, and then feed your tube in. And then I can pull it through. The reason I'm leaving this on here is that when I'm putting this on, if that slides back in like that, I won't be able to get at it and bring it back through. But with this on here, it can't fall in. So it's just a helpful little device while you're putting this back together. Now, once again, some tires, I can honestly, look at that, no effort at all. I was able to just push that on. Other ones, you can't do that. It just wouldn't work. You would have to use these tools again. So how you do that, let's pretend this one wouldn't go on by hand. So what you would do is, I would start away from the valve stem. So opposite, you're going to put that in like that. Alright, and take the other one. Now, we're going to make the hook go down. So we're going to have the hook go down over the edge of the rim. You don't want to pinch the tube when you do this, okay? Alright, and then you move over, and keep moving over while you keep this down, all right? Now this one I could do by hand if I needed to, but I'm just trying to demonstrate to you here. And there's the danger, see? I have got that underneath the tube there. That's underneath the tube, and if I push that too far, I could put a hole in that tube. So you gotta be very careful when you're using these to make sure that you don't accidentally put a new hole in the tube you just fixed. All right? So you be really careful when you do that. Now I'm going to finish this one because like that, because it is possible. So what you do now, take that off. Well, I'm going to first, I got to put some air in it, right? So I've already gotten the air chuck tool here from the left-hand door of the main tool cabinet. And this little air hose, if you want to use that, is at the main tool cabinet. I'm just going to plug it into the receptacle here. Alright, so this is ready to put air in. Now, once I take this off, if I let go of that, it could fall back in. I don't want it to do that. So I'm going to hold it while I put my little core back in, my valve core. I'm going to turn it in, make sure it goes in nice and straight with no effort. It should go in that easy. And just snug it up a little bit. Then bring over your air chuck and put it on. Now, if you're having a hard time holding this like that, you could use a pair of needle nose pliers to prevent it from falling back in and hold it there like that. Alright, so I'm going to hold it there like that while I put the air in. And I'm just putting little shots because I want to make sure that the tube lines up. Now, one thing I should have mentioned, first of all, see how I got it sitting in a vise? So I don't have to hold any of this. It's being held there by itself. That's one thing you could do. Another thing also, when you put the tube back in, you're putting air in, you want to make sure that that valve stem is nice and straight and not at some crazy angle where the tube is like turned like that, because that's going to put stress on the back side of the valve stem. So make sure it's turned so it's nice and straight. Okay, so when you put the air in, it's going to be an easier task for you and less chance of wrecking the actual tire tube. Put that back in. Let's put a little more air in there. Now, how much air do we know to put in it? It will say right on the tire in this case the maximum. So it says maximum inflation pressure. In this case, for this one, is 30 psi. We're not going to put 30. I only want you to put about 20, okay, for the sake of what we're doing here. And then you would have to take this over to the tire tank and put it into the water and look for bubbles, because we want to see if there's any bubbles coming out anywhere. And that's basically how you use these tools and this tool, okay, and the valve core tool to take a tube out of a tire and put it back in without. And just remember, the danger is you could accidentally wreck your tube using these. Right? So you got to be very careful when operating these that you don't accidentally pinch the tube. And that's about all there is to it. So hopefully you find that useful and you can refer to it any time if you need to.